Saturday Showdown. KT Rolster versus B&K Fear X.
Possibly imagine.
I don't know. I like having an Ether Wisp in my inventory. Feels good.
Yeah, but if you're like...
Especially if I can't say it.
The Scout Slingshot is
The
just...
Scout Slingshot is always depressing.
It's the hallmark for the item that just does not look intimidating at all. But it is Teemo themed, so...
There you go.
Makes sense that he would
Let's see.
out of his slingshot.
Maybe Kingin is just going to slam the Teemo here as we hop into draft for game number 1. Oh, looks like nothing has changed. Never mind.
Yeah, I will preface things by saying we didn't see a ton, like a drastically different meta when these teams played at the road to EWC, and this is the LCK. Sometimes our teams can be a little bit stubborn.
I think that they need to get embarrassed by something that has changed in order to ever adapt.
Yes.
And the problem is, too many of our teams share that same mindset, and no one embarrasses each other. It's like maybe we're too honorable or something like that.
The
Just need to start abusing the broken stuff on the patch. Please, gentlemen, that would be fantastic. As the Bard going to be taken away from Duro. I think Duro has certainly launched up the standings when it comes to Bard players that require that one to be banned away. One final ban to come through here will be the Jarvan. Man, these are just the most last week bans that I've ever seen.
These are just the most...
It's like nothing's changed at all.
You have the big four, you have Bard, and you have Jarvan, which has been a really common first pick. Nocturne immediately grabbed by Nongshim here. We've seen this paired pretty well with things like with Nico, with Aurora, does well with them. And now for Gen G, I feel like having an AD carry with a bit of safety can be high value in this situation. Maybe if they want to lean towards like the Ezreal for Ruler, that could be a good pickup here.
Well, the Xin Zhao is going to be a consideration here. A champion that has gone through a few changes on this patch.
He's got some mega AP buffs.
Hell yeah. Dusk and Dawn, Xin Zhao. There's more healing on that item now.
I think people have been going like Dusk and Dawn and Static Shiv.
On Xin? That sounds broken.
But I don't think we're going to get it
I remember like the previous Static Shiv from a million years ago used to go incredibly hard on Xin Zhao as well, but that was when no one played him ever anywhere. As Seraphine is going to be the lock-in here. Ruler happy to play it with something other than Ashe, I would assume. Now Nongshim with the ability to pick that one away. Oh god, don't tell me they're just going to Ezreal Nico. Have they been watching any of our like broadcast at all? Like any of it? Ever? I think no. I think they must just not even think that there's a global broadcast, because otherwise no one would ever pick this ever again.
Clearly not the sections with we did.
No. Which is like most days. You guys have been paying attention, and they're just going to let the Ashe go through.
Ashe Seraphine with Xin Zhao, really strong, having the shielding to buff up the Xin Zhao, who obviously enjoys having a chance to back him up, and also giving that engage, which Xin Zhao doesn't have as much compared to some of the junglers like Jarvan, Vi, or Nocturne. Ezreal Nico we've seen struggle, really struggle. But Nico Nocturne is a pretty potent combo, and you have this backline you want to dive. I feel like maybe banning things like the Akali could be quite logical. Akali, Aurora, I feel like would be good bans for Gen G, but they actually start off here with the Jace in this situation, which to me is a bit interesting because you have second pick. But there has been this tendency from Gen G to not prioritize Keen as much. So as most teams would go mid on 4 and then kind of pick top.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Gen G went top lane on 4 and then mid counter pick. And that's why they're banning away the Jace to make them feel more comfortable in the blind situations. Now, Anivia going to come through as a ban away from Chovy. Obviously, a champion that can really control team fights.
And Chovy has been spamming it recently. Apparently, it's just the only champion he plays, and his teammates were getting frustrated.
And so you can go Deathfire Touch on it.
That's true. Is it Deathfire touchable? That is the old question. As the Vayne going to be taken away as well. I think that champion is just a bit strong. You heard Wolf talking about it on the space. Just buy a little bow thingy, and then you're off to the races. All right, one final ban to come through here for Nongshim. Will it still be the mid lane focus? Just have to find out. Annie has been pretty popular. That could be another one of those choices to get rid of. The Azir, still something that people like to ban, especially with this composition, but instead it's going to be the Gnar to be taken away, and Gen G has then the first cab off the rank. Is it just Renekton?
I wouldn't be too surprised if Keen went just a tank here. something. I mean, the Renekton works too. Just something to be on the front line. Again, they could go mid here and give counterpick to Keen, but we've seen the tendency be not to do that, and they will just lock at that Renekton for him and give Chovy the counterpick.
Chovy just wants a lane where he can play Aurelion Sol into it, I think. I think he's been wanting that all season long and hasn't got what he wanted yet. Let's see whether Scout gives him something that you can play Aurelion Sol into.
I don't think this game is the one, just for the amount of dive they have.
Yeah.
Now, it ends up passing over to Kingen, and he is going to take the Scion in this situation. So providing a good amount of front line here.
Oh, the Rise, which really has been performing fantastically well on... No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not been looking very good at all.
Doesn't
they did ban the Anivia, though, so they definitely knew they wanted it.
I mean, they could go Cassiopeia here if they wanted into this, or you could...
Annie. Xerath, obviously. You could Aurelion Sol it as well, I reckon. You don't really want to play... No one actually wants to play Xerath.
Yeah.
Oh, Deathfire Touch Cassiopeia sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
That'd do stuff.
That would sync well.
Yeah.
That Ruin. Obviously a good matchup to the Rise. The enemy team is planning to dive into you and gives you a good amount of DPS into the Scion. I think Gen G very happy with how this draft has played out.
Yeah.
3 lanes where they're going to have pressure, and a Nocturne who's not really going to have too much impact until after level 6. When it comes to team fights, you know, Nongshim have to try and dive in and get in this backline, but there's so much defensive CC to come out. You know, you're going into the Petrifying Gaze, you're going into the Miasma, the Encore.
Even Crescent Guard, if Canyon is anywhere near Ruler, he can peel very effectively if the Nocturne comes in and gets his shield broken.
And actually, this Rise Cassiopeia matchup, I think got so much worse without having...
Rise's favorite rune got thrown away, and Cassio got a really good new one.
Yeah, it's also like if you get... Like, the big factor was, oh, I'm slowed, proc Phase Rush, and then just run out of it because you have the slow resistance as well.
Yeah.
You don't have that anymore. So if you get caught by... And there's a lot of slows in the enemy team. You get caught by a slow, Miasma comes down, I think you're just dead.
Yeah, so I think Nongshim might need to check the calendar, and you can see Gen G with pretty comfortable draft, something that they have struggled with in the past. Looks like they're doing okay here today, but we're gonna have to see how it all goes on the Rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for game number 1. Nongshim taking on Gen G here. And no, your eyes do not deceive you. This is, in fact, a new patch, even if it looks like Nongshim didn't quite get the memo. And they will be able to take down that first ward. Very nicely done there, Gen G. Securing that first CS. Feels amazing. As Trophy hasn't been so much of a Cassio player in the past, but certainly something that he has found smatterings of success on. Not necessarily one of the picks that he's known for, however.
So you can see both mid laners taking the new rune, and obviously was talked about on the space a little bit, but just for those who aren't clear on what it does, every time you hit with an ability, it will put a burn on them. If you hit them with a single target ability, the burn lasts 4 seconds. If it's an AoE ability, it lasts 2 seconds, and if it's dot, it lasts 1 second.
What if it's an AoE dot?
I think it's the dot that's the relevant thing.
Uh-huh.
But like, because for Cassiopeia, when she Qs, it applies a dot.
Yeah, so you get the big dot like there.
Yeah. But the thing is with the dot, it keeps refreshing it, and once it's been burning them for 3 seconds, the damage increases by 75%. So if you keep it burning, keep them burning, as a champion like Cassiopeia can definitely do.
Do you know what the worst part is?
A lot of value.
That's exceedingly strong, and that's the result of a hotfix.
Yeah, they nerfed it. It was
already.
Yep.
Can you believe it was 100%?
Yep. And so on Cassiopeia, if you hit them with a Twin Fang, that's a 4-second burn, which means it does go over the 3 second for the boosted damage, at least for 1 second. So just a single Twin Fang, and you're getting that. And obviously with the dot, it keeps refreshing.
Yeah, and you can just keep hitting them. So with the way that Cassiopeia is played, right, you just want to constantly hit them with stuff.
Yeah. So with Rise, you know, you have ways of hitting your single target spells that can proc it for an extended period. but Cassiopeia is so much better at abusing this rune. And I feel like we've seen this lane kind of be a mixed bag. You know, as much as the Cassiopeia does well into the Rise and can shut him down later, we haven't always seen the lane go super favorably. We have seen it sometimes, but I think this new imbalance of the rune is going to make it even harder for Rise.
Well, Ruler looking to try and turn this here as they do throw out the heal. Was cleanse taken here by Ruler, interestingly enough. So doesn't have the barrier in this lane as the Nocturne looking for a little bit of a wraparound. Diablo fishing with some Mystic shots, and in comes Sponge. Diablo already extremely low though, as there's the flash out from Ruler dealing with Sponge as he does pick up that first blood, but it's a 1-for-1. And now Duro looking to try and get aggressive against Diablo here as well, even pulling the wave, which might actually result in his death because Diablo does like to go in, but will survive for now.
Yeah, so ultimately the objective is still achieved by Nongshim. They kill Ruler, deny him a bunch of farm, but kill does get traded back in this situation.
Still a fair, decent chunk of CS in the lead for Diablo, so as you say, still fine.
A good start from Diablo and Lehens, though. We've seen this lane not always go as favored towards the Ezreal Nico. They found the pressure, and then here, Lehens does tank that last shot to make sure that aggro isn't picked up by Sponge or Diablo, who are deeper on the tower. Does mean it kills traded back, but it's picked up by Duro, and as you can see from the farm, Ruler's at a pretty moderate disadvantage.
Yeah, we'd say a measly amount of farm, perhaps. I feel like we don't say measly enough, don't you think? When was the last time you just said it in a sentence, normally?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's a good word, just like it. That's all right. Ruler and Duro going to be able to push this wave into this outer turret. And it looks like Nongshim will very comfortably pick that one up. We do have Ruler going for the bow. So Doran opening up his next round of wares. And Ruler has elected to go for that one. It's kind of cute. We get the new one here in the first game. It's amazing we don't have the helm, though, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Just don't think it's very good.
Other than on Cassante.
Yeah.
Who scales with the resistances. Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's an early game item, and the extra regen from Doran's shield is just often more value. I feel like one thing, though, with the Doran's bow is obviously it doesn't have the health. Bit of proxying.
Oh, this is... Wait. Okay. I thought he was just going to die.
Wave, yeah.
That would have been pretty cool. He's going to catch the next wave, though, as now Diablo fighting against Ruler. Duro looking a little bit worse for wear. Beat drop going to miss, and that means Canyon not going to have a target to head into as Diablo is able to sidestep. The wind becomes lightning. Keen just looking to try and kill Kingin before Kingin kills himself, and he is unable to do so. Now Canyon could be in a little bit of trouble as well. Has to flash to get out of the way of that one. And even though they called down the jungler, it's still a rough time as Lehens could be dead, but Ruler not going to push any further forward. No flash available still. So the Nico will survive. Sponge also able to grab this bottom crab. And Nongshim hold on to about a 200 gold advantage.
Yeah, lots of aggression coming out around the bot lane, trying to force plays, but still Diablo and the Hens who have the pressure advantage here. I do think, the Doran's bow, it doesn't have the health. It has less Omnivamp. I think maybe not doing Ruler too many favors in this situation.
Yeah. Oh, Keen. Looking to try and dominate a little bit here as King gets that shield broken immediately. We'll be able to at least offer a bit of damage back here towards Keen, but that is what feels like a tempo dominus to me. Does get Keen a plate, and he does have a pretty large CS advantage as well.
Yep, been doing good in the lane so far.
Oh, that was cute.
Hunting.
Just wanted to throw the flash down. I'm getting a bit frightened for Ruler.
I would agree. There is a level 6 Nocturne. Fortunately not on this side of the map, but if he was, it would just be Ruler dead.
Lehens also might just be dead. He might be just going a little too far for this one, as, yeah, he's just dead. I felt like he was overcommitted, you know? And, yeah.
Did he just have tower blindness? It's like he just forgot.
I think he just thought that if he was to turn around and try and leave, he'd die, and so he had to try and go for it, but then he died.
Yeah. Well, definitely a nice way back in for Genji's bot lane, who are struggling and falling behind.
We have to remember that Ruler, like Lehen's was Ruler's support first. You know?
I definitely think there's points where he could have just started the lead. Many points before this.
Yeah. I think he thought that he was just dead to one Blooming Burst, but Ruler got too much of his health bar back. And it was an odd maneuver. As Lehen's is now back in action once again. Was it the last time he played Nico that Lehen's went a very large sum of deaths?
I believe so, yeah.
So maybe he's just looking to try and break that record. What is our most deaths in an LCK game? Like 12? I think it's 12.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but...
There was a stat that we actually went over last week on the last day where we did get that number, and it is indeed 12. It's Watch from like a million years ago, and then Deft and Marta are both tied at 11 for second most.
I like how it's just like, watch this.
Yeah, exactly. He was deemed one of the most handsome players to ever play the game, though. So that is certainly a good thing. Is Canyon throwing down the Crescent Guard pretty early here, but I don't know whether it's going to do quite enough. And that encore was certainly not one that I would have asked for again. And so Gen.G just lose their jungler with not much of a response.
Yeah, good target selection from Nongshim. Unfortunately, Gen.G had already picked up the dragon, so don't really get a big reward out of it other than the kill itself. But showing the immediate threat that this composition can have if a target is isolated. Just being able to jump onto the likes of Canyon, who had no flash available. So far, mid and top going as we expected with a good amount of pressure in these lanes, but bot lane has been kind of the struggle point for Gen.G. And a bit of a reprieve for Nongshim, who otherwise I think could have had 3 lanes, which were in a good amount of trouble.
Yeah, I think Gen.G probably still in a relatively comfortable position if you're just looking at it in terms of the entire game. But like you say, Ruler not going to be having the greatest of times. It's Keen going to try and go back home here. Kingen pulling the wave so that he has it exactly where he wants it.
Diablo just mistimed the barrier recall. I think he got volleyed and then he tried to barrier it, and then was late. So he just wasted barrier and still didn't get to recall.
Well, that's the first good news here for the Gen.G bottom lane, as that Sheen proc actually looked like it hurt a whole lot. Again, Kingen's doing it, as he is just going to come up here towards his top side and wipe out a minion wave. Question mark pings out from Keen as Scout down to about 300, as Chovy just yelled at him after teleporting back. Scout still has his teleport, but now he doesn't have his flash.
Yeah, Chovy putting the pressure down there, able to force a play onto his opponent. And that lack of summoner can definitely be something that Gen.G can look to punish. They have a lot of CC for setup, but they can target the Rise, can get them off to a good start in a future fight.
Will Kingen die this time? That's the question. As it looks like, no. It's just going to blast cone his way out. Ooh, taking the southern exit as well, but Canyon is going to be waiting there.
Yeah, now Keen has to walk back to lane. We'll be able to catch it thanks to the cannon, but...
Oh dear. Now Kingen's actually going to wrap around and look to try and kill Chovy. The Pop Blossom's beautiful, and down goes the Snake. Canyon should be dying as well, but he does flash to get himself out as Sponge, dealing with a very angry turret, and down will go the Scion for the first kill for Chovy.
But how good of a wraparound and setup that was from Nongshim. It feels pretty bad that they only got a 1-for-1 trade in the end. The tower definitely contributing and helping Gen.G out there.
Yeah, I think the gold actually did not change, but it felt like Nongshim had to use a lot more brain to make that play happen.
This angle from the Hens is great. Coming from next to turret, gets the double ult, double root as well. But unfortunately, Kingen just gets caught up under the tower. Canyon doing a good job to disrupt him, hold him in place.
That's nicely done. Keen hitting level 11 though, does have his Black Cleaver completed, and so therefore going to be feeling a little bit better trying to cut down some of this armor on the Scion. The scaling conversation for me is really interesting, just because I feel like Nongshim have a super stock standard high DPS with a frontline style composition with good setup CC and things like this. Like it's pretty nice. But I think Gen.G are also in a pretty good position as well as we get later and later into the game. I think Xin Zhao, especially with an Enchanter, is so strong mid to late game.
Yep.
But I think both of these teams certainly not fearing the late game all that much. It's not like there's an elite support in this one or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is I favor Genji's composition in the later stages, but it's not clear-cut. There's a lot of pick potential on Nongshim to get onto these vulnerable backliners, and, you know, Ryze and Ezreal no slouches when it comes to the later stages of the game, Sion as well, so I think with how close it is already in this game, this could be an absolute slugfest.
Looking forward to seeing what is going to happen. As first, Canyon wants to defend his blue buff. When it becomes lightning, he's going to miss everyone, though, as the arrow connects onto Lehens, and now Chovy making his way over. Scouts discovered him, and Lehens is just dead before he can even pop blossom. That is a great petrifying gaze to come on through, as Sponge was looking to get on top of Chovy, but he flashes himself out of the way. Diablo's so close to dead, and Canyon, with that Crescent Guard wearing off, is now susceptible, but he gets the charged up, audacious charge, and takes down the Ryze to then immediately die to Diablo as well. But I would call that a Genji win.
Absolutely able to find favor in that fight. A lot of the CC power coming through from this bot lane.
Oh, True Shot Barrage for the wave. As Diablo, like, these Mystic shots really do hurt, but look at Death by a Touch, ladies and gentlemen.
He is just melting.
Yeah. Chovy hadn't hit him for what felt like ages, and Diablo's just dying whilst pressing a whole lot of buttons and doing things. Wow.
Well, ultimately, won't die to
No.
Cassiopeia. Oh, we are seeing the Glutinous Greaves come out from Scout in this situation.
Is it glutinous or gluttonous?
Gluttonous? I guess it is gluttonous. I'm just thinking about his glutes.
Or it's just got too much gluten in it?
Maybe.
My shoes are just full of gluten.
Yeah,
we're gonna check out the fight again. Let's focus on that.
Great arrow comes in onto Lehens, then the ult that follows allows a setup onto these targets. Canyon plays super aggressive here, and then was looking for an angle to maybe get the double kill, but goes onto Scout, Diablo cleans him up, but still gets that 1-for-1 on the back end. Yeah, so these boots, with it being mid lane that picks it up, you do 5% more damage when you're above half health, and then under half health, you get increased healing and shielding.
It would synergize relatively well with Seraphs, I guess.
Yeah, especially if you end up with like a Seraphs and a Actualizer. Oh, arrow hits.
Yeah, that one is going to come on through here. It's just Lehens, though, as that is just a steal away from Canyon. Walks up and takes it, as now Keen turns his attention to the Scion, which isn't necessarily a priority target, and now Canyon, with that Crescent Guard, will be able to keep himself alive. Keen still fighting, though, as Diablo trying to get this Crocodile off his back. As Keen not quite able to go underneath this turret just yet. So no one's dead, but the steal was a success here for Gen G to move towards Double Dragon. Oh man, what if he had the Glutinous Greaves as well as Quadra, Chemtech Drake?
That'd be crazy.
And Soul.
Also, I don't know why.
Glutinous Greaves is never going away, by the way.
No, I've done it now.
So much gluten in these Greaves.
You missay something one time, it's a new patch, and you have to live with it.
Oh, dude, I had a whole Reddit thread about how I couldn't say Bard's Ultimate's name correctly the other day. Oh, it was a very funny thread, though. I really enjoyed the read. Just want to tell everyone that I appreciate them. That's all right. Yeah, let's have a look at this one more time. As they try to kill Kingin, but he flashes away.
Yeah, but once again, it's a situation where Gen G playing around these big CC ultimates and pushing forward. Even though it doesn't amount to more, you can just feel this looming threat, this core of Gen G. It's exactly how they like to play their team fights. This kind of death ball style with the Seraphine is so effective.
Wait, so if they're the Glutinous Greaves, does that mean that every other pair of boots in League of Legends are gluten-free?
Yeah, I guess.
Because that would be good to know, you know? Because it doesn't come with the thing that says, like, vegetarian or gluten-free or dairy-free and stuff, all those things. I mean, you never see that on the
Normally shoes
on the
do have
listing.
those labelings, right? Like some shoes...
Sure, there's people that like to eat shoes.
There are some shoes that are, like, vegan, right?
Yeah. See, there you go. It's more about the environment,
Like,
stuff like
I'm going to
that.
be honest, plated steel caps...
Doesn't look like there's a lot of gluten in there.
No, I don't think so either. I think you'd probably be fine.
I think boots of lucidity, though.
I think if
they
you
could
were-
have a sneaky amount.
If you were trying to eat plated steel caps, I think you'd have a lot more issues before the gluten content.
What about the free boots, though? Because they look a little bit like chocolate.
They have the little vegetation on them
Is
as
there
well.
gluten in chocolate? I'm not really up to speed on the whole gluten situation. I'm not
I'm
gonna lie.
fortunate enough to not have to deal with this on a day-to-day basis.
Me too.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that's just our privilege talking. We are gluten privilege here on this broadcast. We apologize for it. And we'll do our best to learn so that we can talk about the glutinous greaves more effectively as we move further in the LCK season.
I wonder if getting the tier 3 boots, because you look at the Merc treads that Canyon has, and then like the upgraded Merc treads, I wonder if that alters it, you know? Do they add gluten when they upgrade to tier 3?
They might. That's maybe why they've introduced now, you know, the gluten instructions. Maybe we actually have it now. Need to check in on with Boris and just see. Maybe it's one of those things where you just ask about it as Diablo. The Arcane Shift comes in, but it doesn't quite work out. Canyon gets on top of him. The dive is attempted, but it's onto a Seraphine who tries to keep himself alive. Ruler cannot do that, though, and Diablo is going to stay alive as Canyon looks to try and escape, but he has Sponge on top of him. The healing from the Xin Zhao was a struggle, but ultimately it all works out here for Nongshim as they take out the turret. They get an extra slam. Keen and Chovy just weren't there.
Yeah, and the fact that Chovy has a TP, doesn't opt to joining on the fight, allows Nongshim to have a super favorable play, even though... no, he's okay.
He is. He drops the beat, and then he's dead.
He was okay until he took that last Mystic and now Chovy TPs?
Okay. Well, Keen is also here, as he's just wandered his way up. Diablo's really dead, but Lehens is going to make it towards that turret. Keen with not quite enough slices and dices. If there was a third charge, what would it be called?
Thrice.
Thrice?
Yeah.
Oh, wow! Because that means 3!
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good, and that rhymes. It's not necessarily a cutting thing, but it sounds right. Oh, we're going with that one. So if ever you get enough ability haste to basically just slice dice, the next one's a thrice. Now let's have a look at the replay. Sorry, that's a dumb question.
Yeah, so even though Diablo gets hit by the arrow and the Arcane Shift wasn't positioning him in the best way, there's just so much presence from Nongshim here. Ruler was running around under the tower without anywhere ready to go and ends up getting taken out. And then Duro missteps here, dies to the red buff. The flash, you're either living or dying to the red buff. The flash didn't really change anything and just ends up getting wasted. But showing the delicate aspect of Gen G's bot lane, if you leave them overexposed, isolated, they can be punished. And then we later saw Chovy and Keen move in together to take out the enemy Ezreal, which, you know, they got a shutdown from. That's pretty positive in that regard. But does feel like it wasn't the highest value compared to if they've been able to turn around that team fight in its entirety. Now, it is...
Oh. Bit of a teleport coming through from Keen as he looks to try and join this. It is going to be Soul Point. The paranoia does come down. Feels a little bit early, but Kingen has made his way in. Looking to try and annoy Canyon. Finally, Sponge presses the button as he gets on top of the Crocodile. He gets a bit scared, and the double knockup comes through from Kingen. Finds the ulti there as well. Petrifying Gaze onto 3 is phenomenal from Chovy, and now these arrows are going to rain down. Ruler just safely hitting them from the back, and that is going to be Soul Point and a team fight win on top of it.
Chovy finds a phenomenal ult there, and the rest of the team are ready to pounce afterward. I feel like this wasn't great value from the paranoia there, and Lehens didn't get a position where he could follow up. Now they're just going to look straight towards Baron. Sponge, no flash, no ultimate. It's going to be very hard for him to make his way over here and get into the pit.
Yeah, it just feels like the game just turned on a dime. 1.2k gold swing at this point as Gen G now holding on to an advantage. Sponge wanting to get in here, but he's a Nocturne. And he doesn't have flash. I don't think that there's ever going to be a way that he can get through to try and contest this smite. And down it will go. Canyon able to lock that one up. And Keen has a Mega Cone, so he's able to get himself out of there. And Kingen, I don't think, will be able to contest these empowered recalls as Duro and Chovy are now in a bit of a rough spot. Okay, Kingen just going to walk under the turret because he can. There's another paranoia coming on through, but Sponge is likely to die. Chovy just deceptively tanky as Nongshim, all of them moving around. It is 2 of them dead on the side of Gen G, though, in trade for no one because Kingen's just such a monster.
And just when you think things are getting back under Gen G's control, they're the ones leading the play. They get a good team fight, they get Dragon, they get Baron. Nongshim pounce onto some isolated members and look for the punish. Asharo coming in though.
Yeah, the arrow comes forward. That is going to be Diablo locked down as the turret gets involved. Canyon's traded though, so it's a 1-for-1. And
how
so
it is.
Perhaps it doesn't matter as now Lehens throws down the pop blossom. The Dominus I don't think is going to be enough here as the Q is incredible from Keen. And now Ruler's just wandered on up to see whether he can 1v3. And Nongshim, I guess they don't like those odds. They're just going to move their way out of it. But now the Rebel Baron power play is sitting at -1500. And I'd say that that's probably not worth.
Yeah, definitely not getting the value they hope. Here, I feel like they end up using the Paranoia early and just committing onto the Renekton, which is not too impactful. And it gives so much free reign to Gen G to then make this turnaround play. Chovy finds his angle to pounce in, and even though Diablo is able to evade it, the rest of the team isn't. Lehens does not get value with the ultimate. I think Nongshim kind of butchered their engage there, and the counter from Gen G was phenomenal. Now here, this was a more confident dive coming through, and we see King tanking at the tower for so long with how tanky he is, allows even Sponge to get out, who's at super low HP. And Diablo, unfortunately, Arcane shifts, doesn't get over the wall. He definitely panicked there, and because the Arcane shift damages Keen, he takes aggro too.
Oh god, it's just, yeah, it's a wombo combo of failure there, unfortunately, as far as the Ezreal is concerned. But, I mean, end of the day, absolutely fine. Negative 2,000 gold Rebel Baron power play, and they kind of wished that Ruler died, because then you don't see the counter anymore, and you don't see how bad the power play is.
Yeah.
This is actually one of the largest leads that Nongshim's held so far this game, but Gen G do have Soul Point, and they have a Seraphine.
So I have some information for you. Obviously, both mid laners took Deathfire Touch. After that top lane fight, Ryze has done 622 damage with it, which, you know, isn't that crazy. Cassiopeia had done 2,024 damage.
That is a large discrepancy.
Substantially more, and kind of goes along with what we were saying about Cassiopeia being a much better utilizer.
I feel like that was a very elaborate I told you so that you just came through with there that no one really needed to know.
Well, I think it's nice to keep tabs on these things.
No, it's beautiful. It's also one of your favorite things.
Yeah. Whenever I'm on the space, we have the spectator.
You are a notorious hover over the keystone guy.
Yeah. Not just the keystone, even the minor runes.
That's true. Sorry, the anything. Hover over the anything to see how much damage
I love them
it's
adding
done.
the tooltips. Some items which don't have it, and I wish they would. Items or runes, and just adding like, this is how much damage it contributed. Or
it does help you understand the value of stuff.
Yeah.
A whole lot better.
So there's one with the tier 3 Glutinous Greaves where someone posted a screenshot and it had done like 20,000 damage. What? And since it increases your damage by 5%, you're like, wait, how much damage did you do? It's because it also counts damage to like monsters and minions.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of not helpful. So it'd be good if...
I mean, everyone likes number go up, though.
It is a big number.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they should do that for everything. Maybe there should be a toggle. You can toggle it for everywhere number, so you can get the huge, huge number if you really want it. Maybe that's a thing. That's all right. Another thing could be Gen G looking for a team fight, try and get towards this Dragon Soul. True Shot Barrage connects onto purely Duro. Does have a decent amount of sustain, though, in the kit. There's now Nongshim just putting Kingen in the front and seeing whether they can cut him down. In goes Canyon. The arrow's going to connect onto the Scion, and they're just looking to burn down Kingen before the fight's even started. Kingen ults the smallest distance ever and then tries to flash away, but the Crocodile jumps on top of him. Diablo's able to take him down, though, as now Canyon is just dead as Diablo grabs the double, and that is a 2-for-1 in favor of Nongshim. Once again, they're finding the advantages.
Diablo is set up and primed to carry this fight. So hard for Gen G to approach when he's putting out these Mystic Shots.
Oh, the flash ulti from Chovy looks for the angle, and they get the encore there as well. The Twin Fangs are burning. The Dragon is going to be denied, but it's a double for Ruler, who's looking to try and take down everyone, but he'll be silenced. It's Sponge that picks up a triple in the end, and Diablo's still standing.
Chovy goes for the aggressive play, but unfortunately, they're not able to finish off Diablo. He's able to kite it out, disengage from the situation, and he is just pumping so much damage right now. I think Gen G honestly got to a decent start in this fight, chunking out Kingen. But because Kingen has TP, they don't want to let him go.
Yeah, I feel like it's this overcommitment here that's the problem.
Yeah, so Keen ends up going down because of an overcommit. And then also, Canyon is going so far forward without ult, he just gets nuked. And now it's a 3v4 in this situation. They don't have a real front line. They go for this aggressive play from Chovy, and you actually see the Encore does connect onto Diablo, but he flashes first, so Ruler's not in range to make anything off it. And even though Ruler gets a ton of damage out, Diablo's recovered from the CC, refound his positioning, and him and Sponge can clean up the Ashe. Ashe did about 7,000 damage that fight, but Diablo did 9,500.
My God.
The 80 carries both coming up huge, but Diablo just able to find that angle.
4,000 gold in the lead now, just for Diablo.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, credit to Ruler for doing that much considering the gold discrepancy. but Diablo is monstrously fed right now. He himself has gotten the Glutinous Greaves as well, so has a good amount of Vamp. And with all those kills, all those takedowns that's been picked up, it will be fully stacked.
All the hands able to dash cannon out of the way of the arrow. Now Chovy is going to discover Kingin, decides that he wants to leapfrog over the top of him, and then gets a Twin Fang into Lehens. We do have the ulti coming through from Kingin as he tries to escape, but it looks like Canyon's looking to get on top of him. Chovy will be able to just sink his fangs in, and down will go the Scion. Just a bit of a misposition here from Kingin, and the Baron is available. This could have been a big whoopsie. Teleport in from Scout to try and salvage the play as Lehens on a Mega Cone with his Pop Blossom available. And Flash, this could be huge as now the lights go off. Into the backline goes Kingin though, looking for this. That's the steal from Sponge. Pop Blossom connects onto 3 hands. There's no follow-up to try and take him on down. And now Chovy is looking to chase out the rest of Nongshim. But this time, I think the Rebel Baron power play should be just fine.
So hard to chase into the Ezreal. Great smite secured by Sponge, forces Canyon out of the pit, and then it's basically free pickings. The disruption caused by this Nocturne Neeko, it's so hard to keep tabs on the Neeko when the lights get shut down. And I think Genji had to play so defensive as a result, weren't able to stay in the pit, weren't able to stay on top of the Baron.
This game is so close, Ox.
It's neck and neck.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so in this situation, Lehen's been on this flank, being this threat. You can see that when the lights go off, Genji has to retreat. Sponge flies on the Canyon and forces him away, allows him to secure that Baron. Even though Lehen just goes in and dies, he creates space. And then Genji just can't chase Diablo. They don't have any of their engage ults left available. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is not up, so they can't close distance. And if you run into the Ezreal, he will just absolutely massacre you.
Yeah. And now Diablo also has a QSS, so it doesn't matter that Lehens is largely building for himself. Does have, of course, the ability to go into stasis with his Arm Guard now, Dash Cannon, as well as an Oblivion Orb to help deal with some of the healing that will be coming on through from Duro mainly.
You know what I've just realized on the scoreboard?
Yeah, the glutinous Greaves are a little bit too glutinous to fit into the little boots category.
Yeah, I guess that's a gluten-free slot.
It is a gluten-free slot. So I guess now we know, because they've, like, AD carriers have built all of the other boots, so we know that it's only the gluten-free options that fit in.
But they don't build the tier 3 boots, so they could be, they could have gluten content.
That's true. They might just add gluten in order to make them tier 3. That might be what gets it there. Sponge is split pushing, does have the paranoia, so obviously is a decent choice to just be in a side lane, being frustrating. Gonna get chased out here by Chovy, but now 4v4 towards the bottom side. Chovy does find Sponge. There's the paranoia to come on down, and oh dear. The yell does not quite work out there, and now Scout is looking to try and bring Lehens in. Still, Sponge is melting and is gonna have to look to get himself out of there. The arrow is gonna sail by as now Canyon and Duro make their way up. Sponge is now back in base. That might have bought Gen G a lot of precious time here, as the dragon is spawning in 13 seconds time, and now they might be able to actually get out onto the map.
I just think it was crazy how Sponge was like kiting around, dodging so many things, moving around Chovy, and Chovy was just kind of like, I just do way more damage than you.
Yeah, he did at least avoid the Petrifying Gaze, as now Lehens looking to get in there with the Pop Blossom. Duro is just not able to do too much, but Keen gets into that backline, looking to lock down Diablo. Lehens goes golden with that Arm Guard that he prepared earlier, as Keen finds no one with the Q, and he just dies, following suit with Lehens. And now you got a GA being popped here by Keen. Canyon goes down yet again, and Diablo is just untouched. The flash from Ruler was absolutely weird, and Sponge just jumps on top of him and wipes out the Ashe. And now it's Chovy versus the world here with 3 left alive on the side of Nongshim. Keen's still there, but he is slinking back to his fountain. And this is going to be a different story, as Chovy going to try and get rid of them. I mean, the Miasma are actually doing a whole bunch of work here, as Diablo going to chase him down. This is still dangerous. The snake bites hard, but Diablo still should be able to do it and does have the range advantage here, as he does find the poison. And as long as he does keep this minion in the way, it might actually work out. There's the Seraph's Shield, as he was trying to predict there, as we saw. Doesn't quite work, as now Scout looks to make his way on over. He gets poisoned as well, and man, Chovy is really standing his ground here. Almost manages to take down Scout. That sidestep was pretty cute, but it's not enough. And down will go the Snake. And that is going to be the second Drake going over to Nongshim as well as they take the Chemtech Dragon also. And Gen G just falling further and further behind.
Yeah, Diablo just seems to be back in full form here. Duro gets picked off initially in this fight, and they try and collapse in onto the rest of Nongshim. Diablo manages to disengage from Keen. Lehens goes down but buys a lot of time. And you can see Kingan's just getting melted by the Cassiopeia and the Ashe. But Ruler here gets some damage on Diablo, and then Diablo, he thinks he's going to go in on him. So when Diablo Arcane shifts, he tries to reposition, but Diablo went over the wall, and Sponge pounces. A misread completely from Ruler that gets immediately punished. And Diablo is just in complete great form right now.
Yeah.
And Chovy buys a ton of time here, allows his team to get back on the map, but there wasn't really... maybe the 1v1, there was the potential to find the outplay, but when the Rise comes in, like you're thinking, oh, he might have this once he gets the ults, but the Seraph shield is just so big.
It's gigantic. As he does get the takedown, inner turret is going to fall on the top side of the map as Nongshim just get back to pushing. 7.5k is a very real advantage. Ruler at least does have his Infinity Edge done. That is a decent spike. We are moving closer and closer to max items here. Diablo's Glutinous Greaves have just disappeared into the ether because we don't have an icon that can go into that slot yet. He does still have it, but that is completely fine. As now, they're looking to try and take down the first inhibitor turret of the game. Gen G have been doing a pretty good job just clearing out waves, and without Baron, it will be hard for Nongshim to keep up a siege. That's all right. Kingen with the most gigantic of health bars alongside that teleport shield as well.
This has just been such a pain point.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well, Canyon, I mean, sometimes Xin Zhao looks fairly tanky. This one does not.
He's chunked out. They can go towards Baron.
That's exactly what they're going to look for. Sponge getting to work. Diablo doing so much damage to this, it just really is not going to last very long.
Yeah, Canyon Recalled is gone.
Yep. There's going to be no contesting this one. And so Gen G going to have to find a different way back into this game. Man, Nongshim really looking in fantastic form, especially after what seemed like a bit of a faceplant last week. They had a pretty monumentous trade moving into the second round robin, and it didn't look like it had worked that stage. But here against Gen G, it is a very different story. Just shows the impact that a little bit of time can have. And on paper, this Nongshim roster is really, really strong.
Yeah. That's the thing. This team has always been that lineup where you know at the best they can play extremely well. It's just the struggle for them to all be hitting that level at the same time or consistently. Right now, though, able to achieve that. And I feel like until they can shut down this Ezreal, Gen G are just not going to be able to find an easy way back into this game. You know, with that composition, it's great when the enemy team is diving into you, but the Ezreal can just sit back and fire off these Mystic shots and be a constant threat.
Yeah, this is looking very difficult to deal with. They're going to lose two inhibitors at the same time. This Trophy does at least have like 4.5 items. He is very strong. The Snake is slithering very quickly. He does get put into prison. Scout now trying to fight him, and you can see Trophy doing a lot of work. But look at the siege minions. There are so many of them just taxiing towards his base. The arrow is going to get QSS'd immediately, and now the flanking teleport is going to come in. They only have one Nexus turret left. This is the last hurrah! As there's the Pop Blossom from Lehens, a phenomenal follow-up, but Diablo is dead! And now Gen G are on the warpath! They take down Lehens, and Scout is just trying to teleport his way out, but he just does not go anywhere near far enough! And Sponge is going to get taken out as well. It's only Kingen left alive! Can he defend the base if they manage to get a wave pushed up? That is the question, because Gen G may have just kept this game alive.
Definitely kept it alive. Whether they can end is a different question because the death timers are long, but there's a lot of work to do. The arrow here is so important because Diablo does manage to just QSS it, but it's burnt, and his Arcane Shift on cooldown as well. Chovy moves forward, gets the Miasma down, sets up Keen, and uses the stasis so he doesn't get punished. And then Keen continues going forward.
The world's smallest realm wall.
Yeah, then he uses the Empower W to just remove the Seraph shield completely, so just burst the Rise. I don't think Scout expected that. A great combo. 1-2 punch from the solo lanes of Gen G. And now they should be able to pick up the Chemtech Soul. Weren't able to push too much into Nongshim's base, but you can see the Red Bull Baron power play has not been doing so hot today.
No. I didn't know that it was always going to be a negative number, as True Shot Barrage does a lot of damage, but isn't actually going to be able to steal away the soul. And an arrow is just going to get eaten by an unstoppable onslaught here of Kingin. Opportunistic. I like the look there. As Ruler also with a cheek BF sword on top of his other 4 items that he had completed. But, I mean, that's Mercurial Scimitar. Diablo is maximum build right now, full firepower.
I mean, I think the thing is, he now has flash available. Keen and Chovy don't have their flashes. It was a very specific set of circumstances, and it was very well executed by Gen G, but that allowed them to get onto this Ezreal. The Chemtech Soul is nice, and there's a decent amount of champions who benefit from it, but it's not a game breaker.
Oh, in goes Canyon. Looks to try and get on top of Lehens here as Diablo is over the wall looking pretty safe. Canyon not so much as he finds the ulti, somehow keeps himself alive, and most importantly, keeps the GA available as there's a Canyon special.
That felt like some Chemtech Soul value. I think it definitely...
I would say so. I think that it would have been able to provide him a little bit of extra defendability there.
Yeah, I think everything that helped really came together to keep him alive there, because he absolutely needed every single bit of extra effective HP.
Yep, single digits. There's now Gen G with 2 inhibitors down. They have managed to deal with some minion waves, but Nongshim are looking to get rid of the 3rd. This siege is still very scary, even without a Baron, as they have to really be careful about this huge stack of super minions that are coming on up. Ruler going for another ulti, but does not quite find the mark. And Chovy.
Oh, this angle.
Yeah, and that is Diablo able to use his Mercurial Scimitar to get himself out of that CC. That cooldown is not the most gigantic, so Gen G going to have to find another angle soon if they want to capitalize.
That vision pocket Chovy was hiding in was so smart. Unfortunately, all you get is a cooldown, not even as significant as a flash. And we'll see if they're able to capitalize on this. Land an Ash Arrow before it's back up and available. You can see the cooldown for Ruler's Arrow, not super long. Should have it up pretty soon, but I think Nongshim are just going to slow play it and back away.
Guardian Angels up across the board for Gen G. Sponge is still on cooldown, and his is the only one that actually exists. So in the next team fight, Nongshim are definitely going to have to kill Gen G quite a few times. I don't know whether it's necessarily going to be enough to put things in Gen G's favor. And I mean, Chovy basically has all of the items that he'll ever need. Diablo, though, is just so incredibly scary. And like you say, there's a laundry list of things that you have to do in order to take him down. And if you don't, he just wins the game.
Yeah, the flashes for Keen and Chovy are coming up soonish. But obviously those were kind of used in tandem to take him out. And an Ezreal with flash is just such a hard target to reach, especially this Mercurial Scimitar is a very high value buy in this game. And will be back up now, if it, or at least shortly. Arrow unfortunately misses there. And Nongshim are just starting up the Baron.
Yeah, they're able to walk on over there. Gen G also with a bit of an inroad, as we can see, but Chovy a little further behind. We'll have teleport very, very soon, as now Sponge looking to make his way in. He does get the vision down, but they get on top of the Nocturne. He didn't have a whole lot of friends in the area. That was a dangerous, dangerous move. True Shot Barrage almost kill Enduro here. He is able to heal himself back up, you would assume, as Keen walks in with a big old shield. And now Sponge might be able to get into the pit here. Let's see whether Canyon can lock this one up. Decides to forego the Baron in to look for the fight. Down to 24 health. Canyon gets on in there. Takes down the jungler as well as Gen G are looking to try and turn it. Keen gets in there. Dives on top of the Scion. And Scout flashes out of the way of the Encore. But there's a Petrifying Gaze to take out this Rise. He goes golden, but I think then he's going to die as the Pop Blossom to try and peel for Diablo. But he's just melting down.
Oh, the arrow!
The arrow for the last hit does not land. But Diablo, now Arcane shifting into this brush. He's the last man standing, and Gen G are pushing for the end. Nongshim were winning all game long, and Gen G find this one last team fight with a completely broken base, and they're looking to push in and take game one.
Diablo, it'll take more than a miracle to try and defend here.
Well, Gen G, he breaks his stride. And Diablo, he's too young to know that song about ain't nothing gonna break my stride, so therefore he's gonna get taken out. So is the Nexus, and Gen G will move up to 1-0. But man, the statistic, the scoreboard.
5v5s was pretty excellent. They managed to shut down around that Baron, find targets one by one as they move forward. They didn't even get the Ezreal,
Oh my god.
who was absolutely the main character in this game. 76,000 damage in 42 minutes is ungodly,
That DPM is almost 2K.
and then he lost.
야 이거 뭐야? 야 녹턴 그냥 도망가는 거 도망가는 거.
홍 안 돼, 홍 안 돼.
도망갔어.
탑으로 나가자.
야 우리가 칠까 이런?
탑으로 나가자. 이거.
시작.
노콘 노공. 이주공. 아이씨.
야 녹턴 노공이야.
이제 술 있다.
이거 노콘. 이거 자리 넓게 잡게 지금부터.
나도 옆으로 돌게.
들어갈게. 야 녹턴. 노턴 슬로우. 녹턴.
세웠어.
천천히.
야 사이언.
이거 니코이치 찾아야 돼.
니코
야
전면.
빨리지 마.
사이언 천천히 보자. 사이언 잡았어.
라이즈.
더 늦게 봐.
라이즈 쭉 빠져.
사베브.
야 이제.
야 미드 봐줘야 돼.
난 탑에서 있어.